Hey everyone, it's the Canon Cruisers. I'm JD.
And I'm Randy.
And we're here to talk about a film from 1980 called Schizoid. Here's a clip from the trailer.
Sick with revenge, twisted with hate. Schizoid. Dear Julie, don't let me do it again.
Okay, we're back. So Randy, can you give us a short plot summary?
Okay, everybody, it's a horror film starring Klaus Kinski as Peter Fales, a psychiatrist. The main players in this film are Peter Fales, as played by Klaus Kinski, Julie, the main female protagonist, acted out by Mariana Hill, her ex-husband Doug, played by Craig Wasson, and the daughter of the psychiatrist. The 1980s quote-unquote classic film Schizoid, directed by David Paulson.
Alright, Schizoid is a film from 1980. It's a slasher movie, although it's a slasher movie from before the formula really set in.
Yeah, I was surprised because Halloween came out before this one, but it's like, it didn't follow the same beats.
Halloween was 1978 and this was 1980. And this is before Friday the 13th or even Nightmare on Elm Street, and the slasher genre really took off. So what these types of movies tended to be more like were thrillers, although with a lot of exploitation, obviously, to get people in the seats. If you've seen the trailer, which we included a clip of, yes, if you watch the trailer, you'll see there's a lot of pointless nudity, a lot of not even that much violence, honestly. It's kind of tame compared to the sex. Nonetheless, it's a movie about a serial killer who's killing patients of a psychiatrist, and nobody can understand why that is. And as the film goes on, we lose suspects, we gain suspects, and we get a reveal of... Well, I don't want to spoil it in case you want to see it, but it's kind of comes out of nowhere.
No, this will get spoiled by the end, so we're warning you that there isn't a moratorium on this film. This movie is more than 30 years old now.
So go see the movie now and come back later if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So your thoughts, what's your impressions of the film? What'd you think of the film? Did you like it? Nah.
For a slasher film from 1980, it didn't annoy me as much as, like I said, Friday the 13th style stuff, because it was kind of more grounded, and I say that in a... What's the word I'm looking for? It's not like a supernatural thing, and I don't mean supernatural like it's a supernatural being. I mean like where the killer has immaculate abilities of being where they shouldn't be at all times. It's literally just a killer killing people. You see him, he kills somebody, he's gone. That's it. There's no mystique besides it other than who it is.
I really did not like this movie. It's like it's not in like my top 10 hate films, but it was pretty bad.
What would you say? It's about a 2 out of 5?
Maybe it's like I would still say it's a 1 out of 5, but based on my scale includes a 0. It's like it was still pretty bad. There are a couple moments I found funny. Like there is stuff to enjoy in the film, but the plotting's all over the place. For a movie that, as he keeps pointing out, is like almost like a proto slasher, it's more billed like a thriller, more of a mystery. The mystery isn't really there. There are random clues like that could be, but every character you sit there is like, oh my god, it's too obvious it's the killer. No, it can't be Christopher Lloyd in this film because that'd be way too obvious because they mentioned his name in the opening credits. By the way, he wasn't the killer. But yeah, it's like, at least it wasn't long, I guess is one of the best things I can say.
It was a pretty short movie, honestly.
It was kind of nonsensical. Well, as he said, it's like there's nothing supernatural about it. It's somebody killing people. And
for
they're
a
all
reason we don't
connected
know.
that we don't find out until the end of the movie.
Literally last 5 minutes.
Also, I just wanted to also point out that, place this more in a context, the alternate title for Schizoid was Murder by Mail, which is referring to a plot point in the film is that the main character, Julie, is actually one of those old school mail, like newspaper columnists that would answer your questions and give you advice.
She's a columnist.
Yeah. What was it? Dr. June? You know who I'm talking about here?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
It's like that type of thing. I'm going to go into a little bit more specifics on plot right now. What I didn't like is, so you have the killer killing people, But the detectives are so far behind us. They find two bodies out of the four or five.
I would say that was my problem with the movie too, is that there was no raised stakes because
Yeah,
there
was no stakes.
They didn't show any of the bodies until it was too late in the film, and nobody had any idea this was going on. So
literally
no
at one
tension.
point in the movie, the other main character, the psychiatrist, the philanderer, Peter Fales, literally goes, I need to see the dead bodies. All my patients keep on disappearing from my group. Now, I'm doing a very bad accent because he has this very thick, weird accent throughout the movie.
Which is hard to understand at times, yes.
Yeah, but they find a body, goes to Jane Doe, and Julie, the main character, just kind of goes, hey, I recognize that person, and goes, no, she's part of my group.
That was another problem I had, actually. It was that nobody ever claimed any of the bodies.
Yeah.
Not one of them was ever claimed by anybody. Every single one of them was a Jane Doe, which was very confusing and very unrealistic and kind of served the plot a bit too well.
And the cops, well, they're not bumbling, which was I was kind of impressed that they weren't bumbling. It's just that they were just kind of there as this set dressing for this underlying, like, not like a family drama. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like this underlying drama, like this relationship drama that's going on here. And the murders are kind of like ancillary to the actual plot.
Which is kind of a shame because I actually thought the cops were actually acted the best in the movie and probably written the best as characters, and they were very underused.
Yeah, it's like they were only in a handful of scenes throughout, but like I said, the murder was secondary to it. So, just to give you a taste of some of the characters we have, well, the main character, the two mains, we have Julie, who's the advice columnist, as I said. You have Peter, the Eastern European philanderer, who's the psychiatrist who's been taking advantage of her, and other ones of his patients in a group, which you think will add to it later on. He is incredibly suspicious throughout the movie. Like, every time they come on, you have these horror music, like this psycho style music plays, and you're like, okay, this is too obvious. And then you have his daughter, who we're introduced to naked and getting ready to go into the shower, but she's also trying to entice her father.
Yeah, she was kind of a bizarre character.
And then later on in the movie, it's like, you're underage! No drinking! It's like, okay, this is... Okay, so they have it messed up. It's like, she's too obvious to be the killer. And then all the people that we do see die on screen are people that were having affairs with this doctor.
Yeah, the doctor's not a very good character. Like I said, that's why the only characters I really hooked into were the cops, because every other character in this is not a good person at all. Not even slightly, but that's kind of a horror movie cliche as it is. Like
I had no investment in this film. It's like like maybe the plot was a little bit tighter, maybe there was a little bit more stakes.
That's the one thing I got to hand it to the movie, actually, is because for such a low budget, which was cut apparently, it was cost under $1 million for the time, and the fact that it was filmed and written and directed so very fast, it was actually done competently. It could have been done a lot worse.
Julie's ex-husband, who's also her boss or co-worker at this newspaper, who's been introduced, and he obviously still has feelings for her, but you get these creepy vibes from him. Like, every male character in this film are being painted as this is the villain, but there's no direct clues.
Yes, it's one of those, who could the villain possibly be? But the problem with that type of approach is you don't tend to care about any of the characters.
Even the victims kind of get painted into light. Like, could they be? Well, up to the point when they're getting killed. But it's like, because they're such awful human beings. Like, my first reaction to seeing the first one that died, I don't even know what her name was. I don't see her listed in the cast listing really quickly off Wikipedia. She's so unimportant. The main way this killer's been killing people is stabbing them with a giant pair of scissors. Not like clock tower humongous, but a pair of like clothing shears, fabric shears.
Yeah.
So she gets run off the road. We don't really find anything out.
In broad daylight,
in broad daylight, in the middle of nowhere.
Like I said, the main problem, though, is even if you're looking at this from a slasher film standpoint, and that's perfectly fair to do if you like slasher movies, the problem is it doesn't really succeed on that element because the kills are not very memorable, even for the time the movie came out.
The very first group session where you had, obviously the doctor, you had Julie, you had Gilbert, played by Christopher Lloyd, and then you had your other two victims, a married couple, Rosemary and her husband, whose name we never actually are given, and the other character whose name is, I believe, Pat, who, as we later find out, is a stripper with a master's degree.
Yeah.
What we see in this scene is they're terrible human beings.
Yeah.
Oh my god. They literally sit there and they belittle like this one guy. They belittle Gilbert. They belittle Julie's ex-husband. It's like more cases of like, here we're leading the leads. But you can also see them like kind of offhandedly trying to flirt with the doctor who we know has been sleeping with his patients.
All right. So let's talk about
the resolution, the finale.
Resolution, yes. The finale. The killer is Doug.
Yeah, her ex-husband.
Well, the killer gets to be revealed at the end of the movie when the whole business with Mr. Fales, or I should say Dr. Fales, and his daughter, their conflict comes to a head, and she goes to see Julie to threaten her. We don't know exactly what she's going to do, but she threatens to kill her. And her ex-husband is there as well, Julie's ex-husband.
Who has been living at the newspaper this entire time. So just to clarify something else going on here is the cops set up a special line. So in order to entrap the serial killer, they set up they reply in her advice column to the serial killer with a special number. So I'll stop tapping on the table. It's picking up on the mic. So they set the special line at the office for the killer to call.
And somebody calls who sounds like John Candy.
Yeah, but this is why. So she's at the office at the end, and Doug, who's been living there, putting up whose old family business used to be putting up wallpaper, who's been wallpapering the office for some reason throughout the movie. I kind of missed that point as to why he was wallpapering the building, but
save money.
To save money. Oh yeah, to save money. But so they're there. So then in comes walking Allison. Allison has a gun. So it's like, oh, she's the killer. But no, wait, she doesn't have shears. And then Dr. Fales comes walking in and gets shot at. And you think, oh, Allison's shooting at her father. And then we get a cut back to
Doug.
No, the cops.
Oh, yeah.
And the dumbest thing in the movie, where to go, we just got back to report on the murder weapon. It appears that it's a pair of giant shears with some sort of wall paste on it. Then you cut to Doug, who's wearing a white jumpsuit, who was just plastering the walls.
Yep.
And he has the gun and a pair of scissors.
You also forgot to mention the random point of Christopher Lloyd's character walking into the building and locking the door behind him, making him seem very suspicious or very rude.
No, it's it's understandable because it's a work environment and working in a type of place like that, you're not supposed to leave anything in the door because it's a special lock for a reason.
Yes.
So he may be coming in to go do his work at night and going, oh, this isn't supposed to be here like this. Okay, I don't want to be responsible. So he takes the box out. That's me just...
anyway, it turns out to be Doug at the end.
And why?
And the problem it turns out to be Doug is because apparently he ended up breaking up the doctor ended up breaking up their marriage with his advice.
And... she talked about him at their group. This group of terrible human beings who belittled him.
Yep.
And talked about him behind his back.
Kind of proved their point right when he killed them, though. But
yeah, but it's the worst part is this wasn't like out of left field. It just the whole movie. I'm like, I'm trying to remember what type of shears there. It's like, because you commented and said those are really big scissors. I'm like, yeah, there's a specific name for them. They're like clothing shears or and then you're like, yeah, it's the type they would use. Or I was like, oh my god, really? It's like, okay, so it was there all along.
Yeah, it wasn't. It could have been far worse reveals than Doug, honestly.
Yeah. So as that old thing goes, it's like if you don't have something nice to say about somebody, don't say anything at all. Well, so what?
That's a good moral for the movie. Actually.
Yeah, actually, good moral for the movie, but also a good segue to our next little thing. It's like, so was there any standout like good things about the movie that you liked?
As I said, I enjoyed the cops. I thought their scenes were very entertaining, and I thought as characters they should have had more time to shine. I didn't like how they were intentionally dumbed down by having them not find murder victims for almost half the movie.
For me, I kind of liked the casting because they looked like real people. It didn't take you out of it. You didn't go, oh my god, they're so pretty. Oh my god, they're so perfect. Like a modern movie or TV show might be, where like there were people with a paunch, there were people with like terribly done makeup, but they were still they looked like normal people you might see on the street. You go, yeah, she's kind of attractive. It's like, I don't know what she sees in him.
And Christopher Lloyd was pretty good, too.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd played Christopher Lloyd being creepy.
He's always really good at that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But there was like a standout shot there's this one shot. So to set the scene, Julie goes to have dinner. They're revealing their relationship to his daughter. The daughter walks in. She's wearing her mother's dress. Mm-hmm. And she's all made up, and she's been drinking. So the psychiatrist and the daughter start having a fight, an argument, and she tears off the dress, like, oh, you're trying to get rid of my mother. Tears off her dress so that she's half naked, and he chases after her, and as he's wrestling with her because she's going to hurt herself or hurt them, smash cut to Doug, just painting the walls with.
Yes, that was a real random...
Like, it was a real jarring cut, but it made me, like, laugh out loud.
Despite the time constraints and budget constraints, it was a pretty well put together movie. There's no real editing problems with it. It's just, like, a cut like that.
It's just that the issue with the movie is the script. Obviously, it had to be the script. Like, the director seemed competent, the actors seemed competent.
It needed more time to cook.
The plot was very weak. It just didn't work overall. So
right. Okay, so that's the end of that film. So what's up next, Randy?
Episode 2, we'll be watching the 1980 Charles Griffith classic, Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hyde, a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde parody.
Okay, that should be entertaining. And that's it for this episode. So we'll see you guys next time. We're the Cannon Cruisers. Bye-bye.